Hi, everyone. We are going to get started in just about a minute or two, but while we wait for some more folks to join in, feel free to kind of explore your screen a little bit. We have helpful resources, a chat where you can start dropping questions, introducing yourself, and we will get started in just a minute. All right, I feel like we have a good group here and more people will join us as we go. But yeah, thanks so much for joining us today. We are going to go through our June webinar reviewing all things new at Bluevine. We have a ton of exciting new features to chat about, so we're really glad that you're spending your afternoon or morning with us here. This session is designed for small business owners like all of you, so whether you're an existing Bluevine user or just interested in what we have to offer, we have a ton to go over today, and we'll get into the agenda in just a bit. But before we do, I will just reintroduce myself. My name is Lena Karutis. I lead enablement for our sales and business development teams here at Bluevine. And if you've attended any of our past webinars, it's really great to be with you all again. I am joined here by my colleague, Harini Boinapelli. She's our senior product manager dedicated to all things accounts receivable. And she's probably another familiar face for all of you. If you've attended our last webinar, you know she kind of guided us through all things payment links and invoicing like a pro, and she's ready to dive in again today. And not on the screen, but we'll be chatting with us soon. We're also joined by another special guest from our product team. Doreen is going to take us through a couple of other exciting account features not related to payment links and invoicing that have either recently launched or are coming very soon. So I'm excited to hear from Doreen as well. And then agenda-wise, a little overview of what we're going to cover today. It's a bit of a mix. So we've been super busy on the product side over here and have some new features to chat through. All of these, like I said, are either newly launched or coming very soon. We'll start with Doreen kind of taking us through updates on our APY benefit for Premier customers, budgeting and account management controls, something I know a lot of customers have been asking for. And then we will pass it over to Harini for a walkthrough of new invoicing, payment links, and tap to pay features. And of course, we will end with a Q&A. We'll also kind of sprinkle in a Q&A after Doreen's section. So keep the questions coming in the chat. We'll cover as many as possible, and we will follow up with you after if we don't get to yours. So that's it for me from now. I'm going to pass it over to Doreen, and we'll take it from there.
Amazing. Thanks, Lena. Hi, everyone. I'm Doreen from the product team, and I'm really excited to be here today to walk you through a few updates. So the first update that we have is that we've recently removed the $3 million limit for Premier customers, which means if you're on the Premier plan, you can now earn 3% APY interest on all of your balances. So every dollar is working for you. We also recently launched the ability to issue individual debit cards tied to specific sub-accounts. So spending from sub-accounts can happen instantly via card, and it's easier than ever. In the past, we only offered through ACH or wire, but now this will give you more flexibility to control your spend. And on that note, coming very soon for our Premier customers, we are increasing the sub-account limit from 20 to 50. So that'll give you even more flexibility to organize, manage your money, set up any types of accounts you need for special projects and budgeting. Lastly, I would love to share my screen and walk you through something we're really excited about, which is our selective account access feature. So this feature lets you control exactly which accounts users from your team can see and interact with. So I would love to walk you through just a really quick demo of how this works in practice. Here I am. Hopefully you guys can all see my screen right now, but I'm logged in to the Bluevine dashboard, and I'll start by inviting a brand new user. I'll head over to settings, user management, invite user, and let's invite a member of my team. I can select which role they can have. In this case, let's go with a clerk. This is someone on my team who helps manage my bills and payments. And voila, from here, this is the new set account access screen. So let's say I'm inviting them just to help with special project bills. I can choose specifically just these two sub-accounts I want them to have access to. And then from there, I can choose whether they should have any debit cards from one of these new accounts. And that is the invitation process. This also works if you want to edit an existing user. So let's say I invited someone to my account already, but I want to edit their permissions after the fact. I've invited Harry Potter. He's an authorized user, but I forgot to give him access to one account. So from this point, I can either give him additional access, I can take away access, and just save, and that will instantly update his permissions. So with this feature, hopefully we're giving you the control and flexibility you need to provision just the right amount of access to members of your team. And we're currently in beta with this feature, but we plan to roll out to everyone within the coming weeks. So stay tuned here. And that's it for me.
Amazing. That was a great walkthrough. I think it just shows how easy it's going to be for our customers to add some new controls. I know I personally hear this from our sales team all the time, and I've heard it from customers as well. So I think it's going to be a huge help. I'm excited for it to roll out more broadly. And let's see if there's any questions for Doreen. Yeah, feel free to throw them in the chat. We're going to switch gears a little bit now, maybe go to a quick poll before we get into Harini's section. But yeah, keep them coming if you think of anything, and we will definitely follow up at the end of the session. All right. Cool. So before I hand it over to Harini, let's do a quick poll. We're going to be talking a lot about payment links and invoicing features. So everyone should see something popping up on their screen, but we want to know a little bit more, and this is multiple select. So if you have options, feel free to select multiple. But we want to know a little bit more about how you usually manage getting paid for repeat items or services, whether that's invoices, using online payment links, if this happens in person. And yeah, we'll get some info from you before we pass it to Harini.
And I guess while we're waiting on that, Lena, for those, for the customers that you talk to every single day and they're handling in-person payments, what are you hearing is the biggest pain point there?
Good question. I think the biggest thing, the theme that we hear over and over again is like fragmentation. So owners who are juggling a lot of different tools to get paid, whether, it's invoicing for one, banking for another, payroll for something else. The systems don't really talk to each other in the right way. And so lots of like manual reconciliation and workarounds and things like that. So I think people really crave that all-in-one aspect. So. All right, so I think we can take a look at the results. Let's see. All right, so invoices for sure up there. Small amount of payments in person, and then payment links. Yeah, cool. It's cool to see how many people are focused on invoices. I think that's obviously very relevant for today. So you want to take it away, Harini?
Yep, happy to. Thanks, Lena. So there are a few things on my side that I wanted to cover today. We'll start off by covering our newest and latest big invoicing release, which is autopay on recurring invoices. Hopefully some of the folks in the chat have already gotten a chance to check it out. This literally just came out a few weeks ago. I'm really excited about it. So we'll cover that first, and then we'll walk into some newer features that are coming up both on the payment link side and on the tap to pay side, which is pretty cool because actually the last time we had this webinar, we had a bunch of users asking for these features. And so it's cool to be in the next one and then actually talk about them now. So I am actually going to share my screen now so I can walk through a demo of autopay. I'm just going to share my window actually. Let me know when you can see it.
We can see it.
Okay, perfect. So the problem that we're trying to solve here with autopay is pretty simple, right? So right now, your customers receive recurring invoices, but they actually have to manually go in and pay each time. So we released recurring invoices quite a few months ago at this point, and so autopay was just like a very natural and organic next step of that. When they have to go in every month or whatever frequency you set it to, it obviously creates friction, right? And it delays your cash flow. And we know that it's actually been a reason that some of you haven't fully leaned into our invoicing solution. So that's exactly what autopay addresses at this point now. So we have here our invoicing dashboard. As you can see, I've actually already created a couple of recurring invoices here and some that are actually on autopay. We can definitely walk through some of these in a bit, but just to start at the beginning here, Lena will actually create a recurring invoice for you and set that on autopay so we can see what that looks like. But
Perfect.
When you're creating an invoice, you'll want to start off at the top, select your customer. I'll set Lena here. And you'll notice that frequency field here, you can set it to whatever frequency you want this invoice to go out, right? So the most common one that we see is monthly. So I'll just go ahead and set that. We'll kick that off today. We set the due date as net 30. And we'll cap it at, let's say, 5 invoices. I can add in a note to Lena here if I wanted to. And then I can also add up to 2 custom fields on this invoice. This is available for users that are on A+ or Premier plan. And I believe this account is on Premier. So that's definitely something that I can do. And then you have your pretty basic invoicing features down here as well. So there are a bunch of items that I want to be able to add to charge Lena. So we've got 2 items here. I can add service charges or discounts down here. But the interesting part here, which is what we're here to talk about, is this enable autopay toggle. So I can toggle that on. You can view all of the different processing fees here. So we've talked a little bit about the fees last time as well, and I'm sure you guys have questions about these. So our regular online cards and wallets transactions are at 2.960, and then your ACH direct debit are 1.0%. Your in-person tap to pay standard 2.7% plus 30 cents. And then the card on file, which is like your autopay transactions, are marked at 3.4% plus 60 cents. Though, of course, like we get this question a lot. So if you are a business that's processing a high volume of payments annually, definitely reach out to us for custom pricing, and we can work together and see what we can do here. So we have enabled autopay here at this point. You'll see that email reminders is kind of like toggled off. So you can't set like custom email reminders on top of autopay. But what we will be doing is the day before your customer is automatically debited, which will be on the date of the due date every single frequency. We'll actually just send them an autopay reminder email just the day before. So it'll say, hey, reminder, we'll be charging your card on file tomorrow. So that's what we'll do there. We can.
And that gives the customer, the Bluevine customer, an opportunity to change it if they need to and make adjustments, right? That's the way the customer, their end customer, would communicate with them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And thanks for calling that out. So they can always cancel their autopay if they want to for whatever reason, just by going to the emails that they're getting and doing that. And then, as Lena said, they can always update their payment method as well. So we'll have some pretty clear CTAs in the email reminders that get sent to them if they want to change. I will say, though, if we fail to debit the customer for that card on file or for that bank account on file, we don't have a retry mechanism right now, so they will actually have to manually try and pay that. So here's what that preview looks like. Let's go ahead and create an invoice link here. Okay, and I will go ahead and open this in a new tab. And this is what Lena would see. So here's the invoice, here's our name, here's my logo, the due date, which I've set to net 30, the frequency, and then I did mention, as you saw, that I want this to end after 5 invoices. Looks like I did have tax on one of these flowers, so that shows up here too. And then here's just their authorization copy, right? So by paying this invoice, Lena is authorizing Rainy & Co., which is my business, to debit her bank account or charge her card.
And Rainy, for that first payment for the customer, does it go by that auto pay pricing, or is the first payment on the other pricing?
That's a great question, actually. So because the first payment is on session where they're actually putting in their details, it is just by your regular 2.9 pricing. But then going forward, because we're actually charging the card on file, that'll go by 3.4 pricing. Okay. But of course, if it's an ACH, it'll always be that standard 1%. And I do see a question here around why use Bluevine for invoicing instead of just invoicing in Stripe. Like, our invoicing solution or our payment gateway here is actually backed by Stripe. So you still get all of the benefits that come with Stripe's payments, all of the security and the infrastructure, and you can use Stripe's link checkout, right? And really just like the benefit of using it through Bluevine, however, is just like, as Lena had talked about, you just really have everything in one central location, right? So we saw it in our dashboard, but you can manage your checking account directly. You can manage your bill pay. You can manage your invoices. And so that's really like what we hear is just the main benefit of using it through Bluevine, but it is still backed by Stripe. So there are a couple different ways that Lena can pay here, of course, through card, through bank account. And then Link is also another option here that Stripe offers. And basically, if you have an account with Link, you can bypass putting in your card number or your bank details again. So it'll just be assigned to your account, and then you can just pay after MFA. So that's what that looks like on the customer side. Once you start seeing your invoices being paid, or actually once you've even just sent them out, you can kind of manage all of them here. I have a couple of tests here that are overdue that are on daily auto pay. But once you actually have, let's see. So you can see the difference here between like recurring invoices versus like recurring that are on auto pay, and we'll mark that as such. As the merchant, you'll also be able to cancel auto pay yourself as well. On the transaction side, you'll be able to see all of these transactions come in here. So we have a couple of like paid invoices here. Let me see if I have a paid transaction generally. Okay, here's one. So here's one I paid the other day. You can see this one was through autopay. And so all of your transactions, whether those are coming from payment links or invoices or tap to pay, they'll all land right here, which is pretty neat. So it's kind of what I had on autopay. I'm happy to go into some of the changes that we have here on the payment link side, but anything else, Lena, that you would want to add here first?
Yeah, I think all exciting. I know we discussed a little bit about benefits of using it through Bluevine versus Stripe, and I think, you know, I've heard it from a lot of customers, and typically what I remind them of is just to check your pricing with Stripe. If you've been using them, typically they will add an extra percentage on top of the processing fees, which we're not doing. So that's why we kind of advertise our invoicing as free, and then you pay for the processing fees. So you get all those benefits of using it within Bluevine without any, you know, extra costs on top of the processing.
Yeah, that's a great note. Thanks for adding that. Okay, moving on to some of the changes that we have here on the payment link side. So we're about to walk through open-ended payment links. So this is actually dropping tomorrow. So if you don't see it yet, make sure to check back. But the use case here is actually quite simple as well. So today, when you create a payment link, you have to enter in a fixed amount right here. Right. So, but a lot of businesses don't actually operate that way. So like if you are a business that requires like donations or tips, or you have pay what you want services or things like that, this is another thing that we had gotten feedback on and we're trying to address here. Right. So the really big thing here that I want to call out is like this pretty much just unlocks an entirely new category of businesses that can use Bluevine to get paid. So again, like if you're a nonprofit collecting donations, or if you're a freelancer that lets clients tip, service provider with variable pricing, it maybe wasn't the easiest to use payment links for this before, but now you can. So the change here is actually quite like minimal. It's the exact same payment link screen that you have always seen, except the amount field here is now optional, right? So you put in your title, amount, description, and then you just generate the link. I have a bunch of ones that are already created here. So here's an open-ended payment link that I had created a while ago. So I can just copy that. And of course, you can see all of the details here and the gross sales that I've made through this payment link, and I can deactivate it if I would like. But to show you what that looks like on the other side, here's what that is, right? So instead of showing a fixed amount here, it just says 0 to let your customer put in that amount. So I can set this to whatever amount I want to put in. Type that in, and then it's the same gateway actually you just saw before. So I have a card that's already assigned to my link, which is why you can see that there. But alternatively, I can always just choose to pay with card or bank account. And that's what we have for open-ended payment links there. So this will be live on web and our mobile app on both iOS and Android. So it'll work wherever you're doing your business. We know we have a lot of users that are like pretty much mobile only, and they love using the mobile app for things like this. So we'll make sure it's available for you as well.
And Rini, these will work the same as the rest of our payment links. They can use them over and over again. There's no different pricing or anything like that. Just now the option to keep it open-ended.
Yeah, exactly. I see there's a question that came in around like, is there a memo spot? I'm not sure if you mean memo for like the merchant or for the customer, but like if you're the one that's creating the payment link, you can use the description as kind of that memo. If you're talking about the actual customer, we don't have like a memo field on top of the payment form, but definitely would be great if you can clarify, so we can add that in as a feature request if you are looking for it on here. Okay, so I guess that's what I had on adding or payment links without predetermined amounts. And there's really just like one last thing that I want to cover for you guys today, and that is going to be adding items to tap to pay. So this is actually on our mobile app, so I think I'll just walk through some slides here. I think that'll probably be easiest. This one I'm actually really personally excited about. When we launched Tap to Pay, I want to say in mid-December-ish, the feedback that we got back almost immediately was like, this is great, but I want to be able to select my actual items instead of just typing in a number. And totally get that, like doing all of that mental math at the point of sale and hoping you get the number right probably isn't a great experience for you or your customer. So this was literally like our hands down our most requested feature since Tap to Pay launch. So we had prioritized it for Q2. And another nice thing that this feature does is that it gives your customers more flexibility into what they were actually charged for. But we can definitely get to that in a bit. So I want to maybe like, instead of only talking through the changes, I thought that this would be a good opportunity to just like walk through what tap to pay setup actually looks like, since we get a couple of questions on that as well. So if you already have Stripe connected, you'll kind of see this view here with the balance and transactions. If you don't already have Stripe connected, we'll actually prompt you to do that first. If you're on Android and your device does not support tap to pay, we'll make sure to let you know here, and you can check out all of the different compatible devices in the link that we share. So as mentioned, you'll have to have Stripe connected first. If you already do, you'll jump straight to this third screen here. If you don't, we'll have a Get Started CTA here, and it'll prompt you to sign in or sign up, and it'll take you through the Stripe connection flow. And I think we do often get feedback that like the Stripe connection flow is like very, very straightforward, so it shouldn't take you very long.
Yeah.
Yep, and then you can also watch a quick demo on how that actually works if you're interested. So it'll just walk you through like a native Apple experience on how tap to pay looks. Beyond that, we'll actually ask you to set your location here, and this is the location that will actually show up on your receipts. And so you'll have to set a location for each device that you enable tap to pay on. So if it's just one device, you don't have to worry about it too much. It's just one location. If you have multiple devices, you'll have to set a location for each one of those. And it can be the same location as well. So once you've set that, pretty straightforward. I'm sure many of you have seen this screen before, but you just have to sign the Apple Terms of Service. And once you do that, you are all good to go. So setup is complete, and we land you directly in the tap to pay charge screen. So today, if you click on tap to pay, it takes you straight into the custom amount screen. So what we've actually changed here is we added in a new tab for add items. So if you are already like using our invoicing solution today and you've already added all of your items, you can actually select those here as well. So there's a list of all of your items. You can check as many as you want, and they'll show up under review sale. So I guess the screen really just has one, but you can select multiple. We'll show you the subtotal, tax total. You can add a description. You can also optionally add a customer if this is a customer that you already have in the system, or if you want to create a customer to be able to track them going forward, you can add them here. Alternatively, if you instead click into this custom amount tab here, it'll just drop you into this screen where you can put in whatever amount you want to, add in a quick description, review it, and then once you hit tap to pay on iPhone, sorry, this is just the Apple experience, but the Android experience is pretty much the same thing. And this is what that charge successful screen looks like. And a couple of different options here to send receipt as well, which we can go through in a second. And these are the unsuccessful screens. So if you have a connection issue or something like that, we'll show that failure screen, but you can always actually still send it as a payment link as kind of a fallback mechanism. Moving over to receipts. So this is the screen that we have here if you choose to not send a receipt. And this is what you'll see if you want to send it through SMS. And then this is what the customer view will look like. So your customer will get a text that just says, hey, you have a receipt for your payment of X amount to this merchant. Click the link below to view. And then this is what they'll see here. So you'll see the total amount paid at the top, who it was paid to, the for, if you put in a description there, and all of the different items that they were charged for. This is what I meant earlier by like, it just provides a little bit more visibility to your customers on what they were actually charged for. And then, of course, you'll see the subtotal tax total, some of your contact information, their receipt number, payment method date, all of the normal things that you expect to see on a receipt. And then the address I had mentioned earlier will show up depending on what device that you had used.
Nice.
And then if they select email here, it's pretty similar screen. You just put in their email address instead of their phone number. And then this is the email that they would get here. So you'll see some of like the repeat information here. And then they'll also have a link to view the digital receipt, which will open up that same URL that has like all of the items outlined. And those are pretty much all of the slides that I had here to walk through this. Anything else you would add, Lena?
No, I think it was a great overview. It's been a little bit since we went over tap to pay, and I agree. I think customers have been asking for this items feature for so long. So, you know, there's some questions in the chat right now too, but usually the next question we get, whether you choose to use an open-ended payment link, an invoice with autopay, tap to pay, like what does the payout cycle kind of look like? When can customers expect to see their first payout? And yeah, just kind of reviewing some of the tools we have around that would be helpful.
Yeah, totally makes sense. And I'm glad you brought that up. We do get questions around payouts a ton. So you can see we have a payouts dashboard right under sales as well. So this is going to be a really important dashboard for our users to manage their payouts. To your point around like payout timing. So when you process your very first payment, Stripe, which I mentioned is kind of the engine behind all of this, they do a lot of due diligence behind the scenes, including things like verifying your bank account, your business info, and your account overall, really. So that initial payout can take 7 to 14 days, though we see that typically it is more around the 7-day mark. But that's really just for your first payment, right? So the good news is that this really just is a one-time thing, and I really want to make sure I emphasize that. After that first payout, all of your subsequent payouts follow your normal payout schedule. So if you have it set to automatic payouts on a daily schedule, you will pretty much see all of your payouts on a normal ACH schedule, so like a day or so. So that's something that does come up a lot. We are actually also working on initiating payouts directly in Bluevine. So in a couple weeks here, you'll actually also see a CTA. Oops, it's logged me out here. You'll actually see a CTA on the payouts dashboard to start transferring funds. And so we'll have something up top here, and you can initiate normal payouts, or you can also, if you are eligible, initiate instant payouts. And so that's another feature that we see is really popular amongst our user base. So that comes at a 1.5% fee, but we do see that it is pretty heavily utilized. Mm-hmm. So you'll see the status here right now, all of these are paid, but this dashboard will show you all of your payouts regardless of the status that they're in, right? So paid is kind of the final status here, but whether you have payouts that are in transit or pending, maybe payouts that were like canceled or failed will all still show up here as well. Mm-hmm. So keep an eye out on this dashboard too. In a few weeks, we'll have a couple changes to the screen.
Amazing. I mean, I love that. We've been slowly but surely, not even slowly, actually very quickly adding features to our payment links and invoicing, tap to pay that customers have asked for. So it's really cool to see just how much more and more we're able to bring into Bluevine. Yeah, we've covered a ton of ground today, I think, from account controls with Doreen, new payment tools. Before we jump into Q&A, because there's quite a few questions to go over, for the businesses kind of watching, interested in using these features today, what's like the best way for them to get started, or maybe view some resources to get set up?
Yeah, good question. Honestly, like I'd say the easiest thing to do is just to log into your Bluevine dashboard and start poking around. Like a lot of these features are already live or like rolling out very soon. So some of these you might already see in there, right? So that's one thing. We also send out emails and dashboard notifications when new features drop. So definitely keep an eye out for those as well if you haven't already. If you want step-by-step guidance, our help center is also a really good place to go. Maybe we can drop that link in here too. But you can find articles on all of these features here, right? So that's definitely a very helpful guide for something like that. And then, of course, if you run into any issues or have any questions, our support team is always here to help. But we have a lot of features coming up. So, I mentioned like the payouts changes, like we have payment schedule coming up. We have payment and invoice settings coming up next quarter. So a lot that's going on here. And honestly, like I would always just say, like, poke around yourself. Like there's so many cool things here. And it's always like exciting to see merchants discover new features that way.
Amazing. Well, we have plenty of questions. I'm ready to get into Q&A if you are. For anything, again, that we don't cover in the next few minutes, we will definitely follow up with you through email. And of course, you'll get a recording of this webinar as well. So we have the demos here. Hernie's shown us how to get all set up, so we can access that as well. But let's see here, kind of going up a little bit. I don't know, Harini, do you have anything on hand quickly that will show kind of what the payer will see once they complete a payment link or invoice payment? It's kind of like a success screen or anything like that. Maybe somebody asked about that. But if you don't have it handy, we could just skip over that and follow up. We definitely have screenshots of it on our help center as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and see if I can actually just make a transaction right now.
Great. And then we had while you're doing that, we had a follow up on that memo question. If the actual customer paying can add a memo or a note when submitting the payment, was the
gotcha
on that. So
nice. Appreciate the clarification there. So not right now, but that's definitely something we can take into consideration. So you can see here, actually, I'm about to make a transaction. This is using a card that's already assigned to my link. Let's select that, pay, and this is what that success screen will look like. So that payment is on its way, and then I'll receive an email confirmation.
Perfect. Easy and familiar. Easy. For sure. So we kind of covered this, but yeah, we already covered the stuff about how soon funds are available when accepting payment by payment links. I would just say, again, that first payout from Stripe takes a little longer, and then after that, it's set on a schedule that you can control, and it's super predictable over time. So no issues there. Somebody else also asked, can I use Bluevine for solely taking payments and still integrate with other traditional banks, or should we maintain all account activity at Bluevine? So I think we have opinions on that ourselves. Of course, I think we'd want everything to be in Bluevine, but we have customers that are set up in like so many different ways. So I don't know if there's anything that you want to say on that, Harini.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately it just depends on how you want to set up your business. I could be biased, but one of our really big value props is the ability to keep everything in one place, right? And if you feel like there's something that Bluevine as a platform is missing that's like preventing you from moving all of your operations over, like definitely let us know, right? So that's what we're here for. And Lena and I love hearing feedback and product and feature requests. So happy to chat.
Yeah. I'm going to jump around a little bit because I do love this question. I feel like we talk about it sometimes, so we don't talk about it enough maybe, but for the in-person payments, does Bluevine generate a QR code for businesses to list on their advertising, marketing, most used payment platforms such as PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, and you can generate a code through those. So anything you want to say or show there, Harini?
Yeah, you definitely can. So if I click on share here, you have a QR code that's generated. So you can download this and paste it anywhere you want or anywhere that you do business. And you also have this available on the mobile app. So if you are in person with a customer and you want to generate a QR code on the fly, you can definitely just pull this up directly on the app and show them your QR code on your phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is especially the open-ended payment links too. A lot of the companies and businesses that have been asking about like donations, things like that, fundraising events, having that QR code on a flyer, super helpful. So I'm excited about that. Cool. Let's see. Another interesting one. Will you be offering an MCP connection in the future so we can hook up our Bluevine account to Claude or any other AI? I don't know if you know anything about that, Harini, but I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. No, that is an interesting question. Obviously, the AI landscape is changing so frequently, and we're trying to evaluate all of the different things that we can do here. I'm not sure that we have anything on the roadmap immediately that addresses that. But if there's like anything specific that you want to do with that, I'd be so curious to hear what kind of use cases you're trying to address there.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit back to the payment links. I think something we hear fairly often is an option on the link or the invoice to charge that fee back to the customer. Anything you want to say there on service fees or just, anything we might be working on?
Yeah, we get a lot of questions around surcharges, which is what our guest here seems to be alluding to. There are a lot of like rules and laws and just regulations around businesses that can surcharge, and it's typically state by state, right? So there's some states that outright ban surcharging. There's some that have like a cap on the percentage or the dollar amount even. So we don't today offer surcharging out of the box in a way that's like, oh, pass off your credit card fees to your customers, right? But if you have like other general fees that you want to pass off, for example, like shipping costs or like other admin costs or anything like that, when you're creating an invoice, you can always add a service charge directly to the invoice. It's not exactly surcharging since we don't have that, but for any other fees, you're welcome to use this.
Nice. And that's available to all plans, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is available to all plans.
Cool. Well, I'll keep moving through. I think we have time for like one or two more, but I thought this one was interesting because I have heard it in the past too. Just got some kind of questions around telehealth platforms. It says Stripe is among the current partners that offer this. We are launching a telehealth online pharmacy and could consider Bluevine for transactions of physician-approved RX shipped to patients' homes. And I think it might have been something we were exploring. I don't know if you have anything to say about that, Harini.
Yeah, it depends on like I'd say the business need here. If you are looking for a HIPAA compliant invoicing solution, unfortunately that is not Bluevine today. So I mean, we're happy to maybe like suggest other platforms for you if you want to reach out after, but at least the solution that we have today is not HIPAA compliant.
Okay. And then like a minute 30 left here. So question about accepting payments from Canada, Mexico, just internationally in general. Are there any restrictions, I guess, from the Stripe side? And then we could also talk about our ability to accept just international wires in general.
Yeah, it's a good question. You definitely can accept payments from your customers that are in Canada or Mexico. I believe Stripe enables payments across like, I'm gonna say like 200 countries. So if you would like the full list, Stripe definitely has that on their website. But because again, like Stripe is the backend engine behind all of this, it's really just whatever they enable that'll be passed off to you. But specifically like Canada and Mexico for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then we always have like a solution, through Bluevine outside of Stripe and payment links and invoicing to send and receive international wires. So we have all the country details and the pricing on our website, and we'll share that with you, but we could make it work either way.
Yeah. I also kind of on this note, see a question come in that I thought was really interesting. Can we send invoices without using Stripe for payment? So the answer is yes. If you want to use our invoicing solution today without connecting Stripe, you are absolutely welcome to do that.
Yeah, that was a good catch. I saw that one before, but we got so many that it kind of got lost. So exciting about that. We could probably do a few more minutes, right? I guess if we wanted to.
Yeah, happy to.
Oh, sorry, one more. I'm just looking through the questions here. Let's see. I think we are good to go. So anything that we haven't answered, we will follow up through email. And just want to say thanks to everyone who attended for being super engaged. You'll get a recording of this webinar to your email, and we'll see you next time.
Amazing. Thanks, Lena.
Bye, guys.